Can you change a switch to a dimmer? So you might be wanting to upgrade a switch in your room to a dimmer type switch, whether it's a kitchen or maybe a bedroom. There's just a few things to consider when doing so. Generally speaking, you can change a switch to a dimmer. You just need to know a few things to get the correct type of dimmer to do so. And then there's a few instances where you cannot change a switch to a dimmer. So first of all, you need to find out if your switch is a single pole or a three-way type, and you also need to get the same type of dimmer. Now, nowadays, most dimmers are electronic, so they're compatible with both. They'll work for a single pole application or a three-way application. And so you might see on the newer dimmers an extra wire on there that you may or may not use depending on how it's wired in your situation. Normally your switch is just going to have 2 wires or 3 wires if your house is grounded properly. If it's just 2 wires, it's fine. It's just a hot and a switch leg there, and then you may see a ground wire running from the green screw, to the box. And the dimmer will also have the same thing, but most newer dimmers are not going to have a little screw on the side of them. They're going to have like a little pigtail wire, and it'll be color coded, which you'll have to look at the instructions to determine what's what. So it's pretty easy though. The other consideration, other than just changing the switch out itself, is the type of bulbs or fixture that you have. So traditionally with regular incandescent bulbs or halogen type bulbs, you can just swap out switches and dimmers quite easily. Nowadays with electronic bulbs, CFLs and LED bulbs, there's a few considerations. So if you have a fluorescent fixture or CFL bulbs, so the long linear tubular type fluorescents, or the little corkscrew type screw-in fluorescent fixtures or fluorescent bulbs, or the GU24 type or the pin type fluorescent, these by and large are not dimmable unless you specifically have a bulb that says dimmable on it, but it's not very common and they are a little bit more expensive. So you probably do not have a dimmable fluorescent bulb or fixture if you have fluorescents in the room that you're trying to dim. So I would count on not being able to dim that room unless you change your fixture to a different type. Now if you have LED bulbs or an LED fixture, in either case it's the same situation. You can dim it. You just have to buy the correct type of dimmer. As a matter of fact, this goes for dimmable fluorescent bulbs, which, as I just mentioned, are more rare to find. But whether it's LED or dimmable fluorescent, you just have to get the correct type of dimmer, which is a dimmable LED electronic type dimmer, available at most retail stores for probably, I don't know, 20 bucks or so. And they look the same, they wire the same as a regular dimmer. You can be installed in the room that you're trying to swap the switch out in, and they will wire similar. They'll just have a few wires on them. You may have an extra wire depending on if it is the single pole or the three-way type. And then there's one other consideration other than the bulbs that you're using, and that is if it is a three-way application, you're going to have 2 switches in 2 different locations for one light in that room or hallway or whatever the case is, maybe a stairwell. If this is the case, you cannot put 2 dimmers in this type of situation. You can use 1 dimmer and 1 switch or 2 switches, but unless you have a special, which is hard to find, dimming setup which allows you to have 2 dimmers, plan on just having 1 switch and 1 dimmer in this type of a setup where you have 3-way switching. The 3-way switch is the type of switch that has 3 little screws on the side of it, or you'll have 3 wires on it depending on if it's an electronic type device. And basically you have a power and 2 travelers. So we'll talk about this in another video, but basically you have an extra wire on this device, and it is not interchangeable with a regular single pole type switch. So by and large, you can change a switch to a dimmer. Just a few considerations to think of when you do so. Hope that helps when trying to replace switches with dimmers. Have a good day.